Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Compact Claustrophobia. So since the last episode, it's been a little bit of time. I've basically just been getting some stuff prepped, and I did a little bit of testing in my test world, and I have come to an awesome and exciting conclusion. Last episode we talked about going with the cryo-stabilized flux ducts, or at bare minimum resonant flux ducts, for moving our power, because we need something better than hardened flux ducts. 4,000 RF per tick, it's not great. Resonant at the 25,000 or cryo-stabilized at the infinite RF per tick transfer rate. It's great. It's a bit of a process to get up to these. Of course, especially the gelid cryothium would require us to get an XP farm, and then going through all of this and going through the signalum and the redstone. It's just a lot of steps. And I happened to go into my test world, and I was testing around with some of the wiring and piping available in the pack, and I had found a much better alternative that I hadn't really thought about, because there used to be a limit, and there may still be a limit. It may be something in the configs I haven't checked, but I know there used to be a very small limit on these cables, but at least in this pack they are infinite, or seemingly infinite with their transfer. And that I was able to move 25 million in a tick with no issue. So kind of exciting stuff. But to do it, which I will tell you in just a second what we're going to be doing, but to do this, we're actually going to need to get ourselves just, let's go ahead and just get a bunch of sand. We're going to be automating this pretty quick, because, like this episode quick, because we are going to be using these cables pretty much for our power transfer moving forward. And having found that these are infinite transfer, it might have been worth getting into these a bit sooner. Okay, I'm actually going to need flint stiffened mesh, my bad. Let me do that. I just wanted to waste a little bit of time, running and some sand, running it through. This is the reason I hate carry on, because I can't be too close to those. I'm actually going to need the flint stiffened mesh, so I'm going to need a bit of flint, and then we'll just replace this. We've got some flint stiffened mesh in a chest, but we might as well just go ahead and make 9 of those. And what we're going to be saving for is this right here, aluminum ore pieces. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a little bit of this. We're going to need a bare minimum of 12 of these. Really 12 is fine. 12 is enough for us. And the reason this is pretty important to us is because we're pretty much going to have to get a good power transfer system running around the base to first make use of our core power network, but also to do our wood farm, to do our further expansions, to start moving towards glowstone. We've got to have that good power transfer to actually make use of that. And on the plus side, we'll be able to drain stuff out of our reactor so much faster using these cables, using infinite transfer cables, right? Going from 4,000 per tick. I might actually need more sand for this, but going from 4,000 per tick that we can move to seemingly infinite, like I said. I mean, there may be a cap somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and trash that tin. What we're going to do is craft that into aluminum ore chunks. So there we go. We got a quest complete. And then we are going to actually craft aluminum pickaxe. And we'll get a quest complete from that. There we go. Now this pick, if we scavenge with this, it is a 100% chance that we are going to get aluminum ore pieces. So what we're going to do at this point, we're going to pop in here, and we're actually going to set it up in this room. So we're going to have steel and aluminum picks being ran on this side, iron and stone being ran in kind of the other one. And I'm actually going to be storing, I think, the aluminum just in here, because I'm going to have the steel here. I'm going to have to run cables in, and, I'd just as well store it here, I think, as far as our excess aluminum. So in here, some of this was left over. Some of it I did have to craft. We've got some stuff here, because our original setup for steel didn't take as much as I had originally prepped for, and so we still had some leftovers back in here. And we're going to set up once, I think, one of the last times. We might set it up one more time, but I'm getting to thinking that I'm not going to do that, because originally I was going to set it up for diamonds, but I'm starting to think that I'm not going to, because I don't know that it's really going to be necessary for us with the way that we're going to be pushing into this stuff. But what we're going to do, I'm going to set this up kind of backwards. So we're going to have our cache, and I kind of want this to be, you know, right next to steel, so it's easy for me to run our refined storage cables over. So we're going to do that. That's going to house aluminum, and then we're going to have the, let's see, a sequential fabricator that sets here. And we're going to go ahead also and have a chest, and we'll have this chest setting here, I think. And this is where basically sticks are going to come in. Oh, I thought I made a furnace, and I guess I didn't. Okay, I'm going to have to do that real quick. But yeah, let me go ahead and just make a redstone furnace. Okay, so there's our redstone furnace. And we're going to set this up right here. And let me break off. I don't want that to connect. And we're going to say that you output at the bottom. You're also going to output at the bottom. Insert from the top. Auto output is enabled. So it can just basically, all it's going to be handling is aluminum. So it's going to send that aluminum downwards. And then we are going to set up a sequential fabricator here. This sequential fabricator is going to output out the bottom, input out the top, input through the top. This is one of the ones that we had originally set up for steel. Or we might input from the side there, actually. Yeah, I'm going to say we're going to input from the side there. And let me go ahead and just move this stuff out of the way. Really, I guess I could just pull this up. At least the chest. And we're going to set up an auto clicker here. And as far as our leadstone flux ducts, actually I think the best way to run this is going to be like this. So we'll do that. So all this stuff's going to have power. Now, it probably once I run our cables over, I'm not going to say that I will for sure, because I don't know just yet if it's really going to be worth it. Because before long, we'll probably have access to kind of the outside, and I don't know if it's worth really running our new power cables throughout everything. We might. So we may end up changing this over and moving all of these tiny compact machines to kind of our central power area so they can help power the entire base, and everything just moved with our new cables, since those will be ran through the entire base anyways. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things go. But what we're going to do then, we're going to set up a vacuumulator, and this vacuumulator is going to set here. It is going to, we're going to step back and shift right click, and we're going to go ahead and say that whitelist, only aluminum ore pieces are allowed in this one. And we're going to shift right click here and blacklist aluminum ore pieces. Okay, so none of this stuff is stuff that we want in that vacuumulator. Okay, so now if I throw these down, you're going to notice they only come into this one, no matter how many times I throw them down. And now what we're going to do is, let's go ahead, pull that out, throw that down, and it doesn't come into here. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and throw our aluminum pick into there. And we're going to go ahead and say left click and one click every 50 seconds. That should be fine. We should have enough power to support that, I think. These are running a little bit faster, but we do use the materials from this a bit more. This is really only going to be producing aluminum, since it is 100% scavenge for aluminum ore pieces. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and set up a recipe here and say if you take 4 of those, it makes aluminum ore chunk. We're going to set that recipe, and we are going to send up, let's go ahead and say top is output, and we're going to go ahead and send over and break off that connection and break off that connection. I don't want that to come up through there. Of course, it throws those pieces into my inventory. That's fine. And then we're going to go ahead and just run that up. Okay, so it can send those up to the sequential fabricator and craft those. That's it. That's all that needs. Those are then going to go down to the redstone furnace. We are going to upgrade this with a hardened upgrade kit Whoops, I meant to do a reinforced conversion kit. I don't know. I honestly, I don't think, with the speed that we're running, I think really just the hardened with one auxiliary reception coil is probably enough, realistically. I'd probably be I think I'd be wasting materials to even go with that. Since it does take 4 scavenge per aluminum, I think this should be fine. We're going to go ahead and lock in, which I hate doing, thanks to Carry On. We're going to go ahead and lock in that aluminum there. This Sequential Fabricator, this one we are going to upgrade. I'm actually going to make a new upgrade thing, though, instead of wasting this. Okay, so there's that. Then we'll just upgrade this Sequential Fabricator. And we're going to say that augment pattern validation. And you can input from there. You can also input from there. Auto input is enabled. And then we are going to, if we drop those in, let me keep 2 of them out. Let me grab 3 of that aluminum. And we're going to go ahead and say aluminum and sticks. Set recipe. Okay, so it's going to start sending that stuff in and making aluminum pickaxes for us. And just really, really quickly here, I'm going to go ahead and move this vacuumulator up to there. Output out the back. Okay. That's going to free us up a lot of space right here. This is kind of what I'm thinking. It's going to be a lot of cables through here, but that's fine. This is a room that's not really intended to enter. So that should be fine. We're going to set the bottom to be the output. Auto output is enabled. We're going to run our item duct over like so. And then once this pickaxe does break, so for example, if I pull that out, it's going to send a new one in there and start scavenging with that new one. It does seem like our power it's not really struggling. It's actually just kind of staying at a certain balance. At about 6.8, it'll go up or go down depending, but it's staying pretty steady. We are kind of using basically as much power as we're producing in that tiny compact machine, like setting it like a perfect medium right now. Let's go ahead, let's go ahead and go with like 30. I'm going to take a big chunk out of this for a minute. We're going to go ahead and grab ourselves 30 aluminum ingots. Now, if we pop over, I did do a little bit of expansion over in the farms. I do have all of these things running and this running at the moment, producing bonsai oak cuttings. This one I actually went ahead and filled out, so you can see the way that we have this set up. I think I've showed off the farms a little bit before, but just as a refresher, we do have a tiny compact machine. Produces plenty of power to run 7 cloches, as you can tell. Behind here we have an item duct line that runs to a tunnel that then just basically auto outputs to a cache. And then back there we have an infinite water source that's feeding these with water. Super easy, super simple. We didn't set up any on camera, but they're really straightforward to do. And I do have all of these running now. Previously, I just had the industrial hemp running. I had these actually set up for automation, but I forgot the tunnel. And I was like, I came out here to get more wheat, and I was like, where's my bread? Or I was going to make more bread. And I was like, where's my wheat? Because I had ran out of it, and I didn't actually put in the tunnel. So, whoops. But I went ahead and set those up. And our old farms now are just 100%. They are gone. I've gotten rid of them totally after getting our wood set up. And the wood we have a lot of because we're going to be using that. So let me go ahead, let me make a bit of wool, and the cable that we're going to be going with for infinite transfer is the aluminum wire from Galacticraft. Now, in the past, this thing did have a power transfer limit. Now, for whatever reason, like I said, I don't know if it's the pack or if it's just Galacticraft changing. I remember the limit on it used to be like 1,000. That was like 1.7, and I think that was the last time I really used aluminum wire. It was back in 1.7, but it did have a limit, and it wasn't very much. Now it seemingly can move infinite, either through configs or through just the progression of the mod and the developer's choices. So at this point, what we can do is we can actually go in, and there is really no reason that we don't just pull this completely off. It's not connecting to the tunnel, but if we pop out, I've let this kind of drain down. You know, there's less than 1 million RF in here, and as soon as I put down an aluminum wire, watch this. Boom. Fills back up. I think the limit, you notice it took a second. I mean, it was still like a few million. There might be a few million RF per like limit to it. I don't know. But it also may have been a limit to how much this could move. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing, but regardless, it's a ton of RF, more than what we're going to need. So what we can do now, in that case, is we can pull up all of this stuff, and we can instead run our aluminum wires like that. They're still going to provide power to these hardened flux ducts, so I'm not going to worry about changing these at the moment, just to save on aluminum wire for us. They're going to move power over to that just fine. Neither of these actually need power. Our compacting rooms, our farms and animals, they won't need power. Yeah, I think I've got an idea of how this can work, but it's never going to work great, simply because these can't be facaded, which is unfortunate, but I haven't looked at the 1.16 versions to see if they can be facaded now. That would be kind of awesome. So if we pop in now and we configure this, we're going to say it's going to be on the upside. That's where the aluminum wire is. And then if we come into here, we are going to put in a tunnel. It's going to be right there. Or, better yet, let's actually have it here, because I was thinking we'll just line up those machines. See, the thing is, I don't know that we're going to need as much space as I made space for. And the reason being, we just don't have that many setups as much as I was planning, because originally when I made space, right, I was planning as if I was doing you know, a pack, like something like enigmatic or something like that, approaching it like that back. But really there's only like nuclear craft, thermal, and what, like immersive engineering, like 3 mods that we actually do anything with, and refined storage kind of. The animal area we probably won't use all that extensively. I made space for all this stuff, but I really don't think, you know, because this is really just a pack going, or the series going through the quest, not so much a pack that we're planning on spending like a big ton of time on. Let me actually pull this off. I'm going to have to adjust this slightly. So that's back working now. And then what we're going to do is, for moving the power over, we're going to put a tunnel in right here. There's the cables. Actually, let's do it with the cables. So these cables, of course, these are going to be external storages that just run across. And so we're going to run this over the top. And then we're going to put in a tunnel that sets here. And this is going to be the aluminum wire. And we're going to put in aluminum wire right there. So then if we pop in, let's see, we want tunnel here. And we're going to say that's the upside, that's the cable side. And then we're going to have one here that's the aluminum wire. So the aluminum wire then just runs over to this large compact machine. The cable runs down into this large compact machine. Then if we step inside of here, is that full again? No, it's almost full though. Great. Okay, so we're going to do a tunnel that sets, I don't think I'm going to be really using power here, because I've got it all running from the tiny compact machine, and that seems like plenty, at least for right now. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to say that this side is going to be the side that has the aluminum wire. This side is going to be the side that has the cable. So we'll run that out, and we'll run out the aluminum wire. Okay, now at this point, what we need to do is, I can't remember if I made a compact machine. Let me go check. Okay, I got that, and then I had to prep a few things that I needed, and I've got to prep a few more things in a moment. But we're going to go ahead and just drop in a normal compact machine. Of course, I like these. They're cheap. They're very, very cheap. We're going to go ahead and drop that in. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and set up a couple sawmills. And these sawmills are going to be set up, I'm thinking if we just run this out, like so. Pull these up and move them out of the way. But we're going to go ahead and set up just a couple sawmills here. One there, you can see it's getting power. And one right there that's getting power. Now it's not transferring as much as I thought it would. Interesting. And then if we upgrade these, and we're going to drop in a couple auxiliary reception coils into these. I wonder why it's so slow right now about moving power. Because there should be... Let me bounce back out. I mean, there shouldn't be anything stopping it, right? It's not really going anywhere else. I'm not sure. And actually, let me bring them up, in fact. So we're going to do that instead. And we're going to do that. Okay. So let's go ahead and clear these out. We're going to say that on the bottom side, you're going to input. And bottom side, you're going to input. Top side, you are going to output, but not all of it. Yeah, it's going to be the red. And we're going to put a cache in right here. Okay. And then let me get, one thing I'm going to need is, well, actually a couple things I'm going to need to do. Let me pop back out, completely out, and we are going to run over, in the storage and automation hub, let me just set up a tunnel here. That's on the south side. This is going to be on the north side. And we're going to put a cable that connects in through there. And we're going to have this cable come out right there. And it is going to run over like that. Alright, we're going to put in a... Let's find the cable line here. There we go. We're going to run this cable out. And here we're going to put in an external storage that's going to set... Actually, it'll set here or on the top. Really, I guess the top would be best. So we're going to do that. And then we'll run the cable out. I'm discovering very quickly I hate limited space. I hate it. I also hate running everything through a compact machine as well. So we're going to run that, and that way we're going to have, if we take a look here, we have 9.6 thousand bonsai oak cuttings. Alright, now what I need to do is, let's pop over, I need to get one thing crafted up, and that is a exporter. So there is that. And we're going to go ahead and put an exporter in. I'm going to have to rotate this thing. There we go. I want it facing up into the sawmill. And then we're going to run our cables over like so. This exporter, we're going to say that you're exporting bonsai oak cuttings. So you can see that they're starting to come into here. And it's creating oak wood planks. So we're going to go ahead and lock that in. We want to store those. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say, which actually, let me pull this up for a moment. Let me set it off to the side for just a second. Let's put in an item duct instead. I think I like that more. It's going to work out for us too. And then let's do the cache up there and say, you know, you can auto output. That's great. We're going to change this up too to be orange, so it does both, you know, both slots here. And what we're going to do then is we're going to put in a dense item duct that sits here, So it's going to be lower priority. It's going to try to send as many planks up here as it can, but once this cache fills up, then it sends them over to the sawmill. So this sawmill is not going to see a ton of use. We're going to say the top is input for it, and then we're going to say that the left-hand side is output. Okay, and the reason for that is once it runs through, actually, I'm sorry, we don't need a sawmill here. We need a pulverizer. My bad. I have this sawmill set up, and I'm not actually going to use it for this. That's fine. I'll end up using it for something, I'm sure. I do have a pulverizer made. It was left over from an older project that I guess we didn't end up needing it or something. So we're going to put that in, and we're going to say input's there, output is there. And the reason being, once we fill up on oak wood planks and we don't need them, I want to keep running this. And the pulverizer is going to turn that into 2 extra sawdust. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put in a sequential fabricator, and realistically at this point it could feed into that same line. It doesn't really matter. And I'll tell you what, let's make one more cache real quick, and we're going to put the cache in right there, and it should automatically send it up. It does. So there goes the sawdust. It's going to go into this cache. Okay. And right here, we're going to put in a sequential fabricator, and this sequential fabricator is going to sit right there. We're going to say that you insert from the right-hand side, and we are going to... Nah, really we don't have to do anything else. Insert from the right-hand side, auto input, but then let's go ahead. Let's put in just an item duct, and then the sequential fabricator, say you insert from the right-hand side there. And I'm going to go ahead and run our aluminum wire up like that. So this will be getting power. I don't know if it's something to do with the thermal machines. Maybe that's why it moves so slow or what. We'll find out this episode if I need to change up. I was thinking that this would work, but I may have to change up cables still. It can move like plenty of power from nuclear craft. You know, I checked it. What I tested it with was voltaic pile to voltaic pile, because there's such a high limit, if any limit, as to how much they can move, and it could move an entire voltaic pile to another voltaic pile in one tick. But I don't know. We'll find out. And it may be because of the way that thermal handles energy, because it is a little bit different. So that could be it. But it's going to do that. That's great. And we're going to put in a servo here and say that you can, send your items over, and make sure that that's locked. And we're going to put in a recipe here and say that's how you make compressed sawdust. Okay, so it's going to start producing that compressed sawdust for us. Now, we'll probably end up speeding this up, but that's fine. I can craft some of those in a minute. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put in, let me run over some cables. I don't really see any point in storing this stuff up, but we're going to put an external storage there, and we're going to say that your output is out the bottom. Okay, now let's pop over real quick. I want to make sure that it's showing up inside of here. It is. You can see we got 31, 32 compressed sawdust. All right, so then we'll pop back over. And what I want to do now is I want to pop into this compact machine, which I will have to make another tunnel for. That's fine. And really at this point, I need to get some stuff prepped up as well. This compact machine is a 7x7. I'm going to go ahead and just set the entry point to here. Yeah, actually, like, I don't know, right here. This one is a 7x7, and we are going to be building a large multi-block in here, and that is the arc furnace. Now, I already prepped up some of this stuff, a lot of this stuff in the past. I do need to finish prepping for it. It's just a lot of steel, which we have plenty of. So I'm going to get this prepped up real quick. I got to see what all I've actually got prepped already for it. But I'm going to get this stuff prepped up, and I will be back in just a minute. I know I have to do reinforced blast bricks. Alright, so what we're going to do, let's do... we're actually going to set it up over here. Okay, and we're just going to basically build this out real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this built. Of course, there is the projector. I'm not personally too crazy about those, but They're okay, I think, but usually I'd find the book plenty good. And actually, I need to shift this forward by 1. I built it, it just dawned, I was like, oh, wait a second, no, I'm supposed to be building it a little bit closer forward, so we're going to have it there instead. But give me just a second here. I'm going to get this built, and then I'll be back. That is done. If we right-click here, there we go. We got the hottest topic. Not a lot of space in here, of course, but that's fine. We're just going to have a couple little things going on in here. And we're going to go ahead and put in a tunnel. Of course, power goes in right here. We're going to go ahead and put in a tunnel that sits right there. And we're going to say that this is the side that has the aluminum wire. And we're going to run this out. Okay, yeah, it filled that up. Okay, so it looks like it's something to do with the thermal machines. If it doesn't send a lot of power to thermal machines, I'm not that worried about it. Thermal machines don't take a lot of power. And if worse comes to worse, I can set up a voltaic pile or even just change over to hardened flux ducts. I bet it would move more power then, maybe. But it fully filled this up in a split second, you know. But what we're going to do, let's go ahead. This is going to be our input, like our primary input. And I am going to need an exporter. So let me actually go grab one of those, another one of those. And we'll go ahead and put that there. And we're going to tell it that it exports compressed sawdust. And we're going to put a tunnel in just right. So let me grab my cable. Cable comes up to there. And this is going to be the side that has our cable. You know what? It actually might not pull. I never thought about it, but it may not pull from a thermal machine automatically. Let's see. What if I said you don't auto output? Yeah, see, I don't think it's going to do it. That's fine. What we'll do, we'll turn on auto output, and we'll just move this external storage, and we'll put a chest there, and then have the external storage on that. Okay, so now if we pop in, now at this point we do need to make electrodes. These right here, graphite electrodes. We're going to need some HLP graphite ingots, that's fine. And we will be able to use this for better HLP graphite output with this carbon fiber once we get the dash pickaxe. And our graphite electrodes, I don't think there's going to be a way for us to make 100% ones. Now there is ways that we could repair them up from the 50% mark. I think I'm probably just going to leave them at the 50% mark. There's no way to, like, you know, with this we can't fully automate, like, unless they've added a way to insert graphite electrodes. That's something I haven't checked, and maybe something I'll look into. But it's going to run for long enough that's really not a big concern for us, truth be told. So we shall see. But I'm going to go ahead and get a rod mold, because we don't already have one of those. Okay, so there's our 12 HLP graphite ingots, and change that over. And actually, I don't think it's going to run it that way, so we're going to have to actually toss it onto there, because it takes 4 at a time for this. And we're going to make our first 3 graphite electrodes. Now the nice thing is we're going to be using the arc furnace for other stuff as well. But this is going to give us a actually pretty effective wood farm without having to go with that big, wild and crazy. At first it off-put me because it's messy, but like so is my base. So I guess it's not that big of a deal, I suppose, because my base is like a huge mess. But you can see it's going to smelt down all this compressed sawdust. It makes a bunch of charcoal at once, 10 at a time, or actually it has the potential to make 12, but you can see the power is kind of fluctuating, kind of bouncing around. I'm kind of curious, if we pop out, way back out here, if we go in here, yeah, it's actually draining enough power that a single reactor, it's going to be a power-hungry little thing, it seems like. Interesting. Okay, now it's building back up though. Because it made short work, that's the thing, like, it makes short work of the compressed sawdust. So yeah, it drained power for a second, but it chewed through that compressed sawdust like super fast. So you could see, oh, it's actually backed up on charcoal at the moment too, so that would be the reason. But if we pull that out, oh, it's actually the tiny charcoal that's backing it up. If we pull that out, it's going to start doing its thing again. Now what we're going to do here, right now it's gonna eat through some power, like no doubt about it. But once it's not backed up on compressed sawdust running all 12 slots at once, it's actually not going to be too bad. I think we can actually, oh no, we can't put items that it can't smelt. We'll let that burn through, and then it's actually not going to consume that much. And of course, you can limit how much power it can use by limiting how many slots it really has access to, but or how many items go in at a time. Now what we're going to do, we are going to put in a just a sequential fabricator, and this sequential fabricator is going to go right here, and it's going to input from that side. Auto input. Actually, I don't know that this is going to auto output to it though. Though maybe if I was to set that. Okay, yeah, I'm actually going to have to push it back, bring it back, because it should be seeing that just like slag. Yeah, there we go. There goes the tiny charcoal. So we'll just shift this out, and what we'll do is put in, yeah, because I don't think I have, yeah, we'll just put in an item duct there. Input is through the back, and a servo there. So it's going to start sending that tiny charcoal over and making charcoal. So see, we get a little over 1 charcoal per piece of compressed sawdust. You can see it's just about done eating through all this stuff. Then what we'll do is we will put in a, how do we want to do this? Because I think that's there. Honestly, I'm thinking about removing this redstone furnace because we're not using this wood system, and I have no plans to use it. So let's go ahead and just pull that up. In fact, let me, there we go. I need to get back there. Alright, so what we're going to do is we will put in a item duct there, and I'm going to need one more tunnel. Yeah, you can see it's barely using any power now. At this point. So then what we'll do, we'll say that the top side is going to be output here. We're going to put in a tunnel, and this tunnel is just going to set in probably just right here. We're going to say this is going to be the upside, and we're going to run item ducts over like that. Auto output is enabled for this. Actually, what if we put a cache right there? And we put in a servo. There we go. It's going to pump out the charcoal. That's great. And we're going to lock that. We're going to lock this in. There we go. So we're now producing charcoal. It's actually not consuming a lot of power, and it's consistently going to be creating charcoal. Basically being, and it will get faster once we upgrade the sawmills. So we're basically trading just the big kind of cumbersome system that the kind of the breakers and stuff would have been. Because I find it extremely cumbersome when you have to have a breaker for every single block. It can be done where the wood's kind of compacted to where you only need like 1 breaker, but it also becomes kind of messy. But we can actually speed up this sawmill and increase the overall speed, plus whenever this backs up, it will increase the overall speed. But this is producing as oak wood planks. It's kind of a byproduct, and just mass producing sawdust for creating our charcoal. So now what we're going to do is just put in a servo here. And this cuts out the whole smelting process that we would have to do with the wood. It basically takes the sawdust as the byproduct, turns it into charcoal at a pretty decent rate, and it basically does it all for just a little bit of power. It's not a lot. I know it seemed like a lot whenever it was like chewing through that reactor, but it's not a lot. It was just a lot backed up, and it can process super fast if the need for it is there, which in that case it was. So, and yeah, I think once the creosote here fills up, and this last tank, we have like a bunch of extra tanks. I'm probably just going to trash the excess because we're already creating treated wood here, which now I can send over, planks into this at this point. Do that because we basically have just infinite planks here at this point. So. Okay, so how much charcoal are we up to at the moment? Of course, this is going to be getting drained off for coal coke. That's fine. But yeah, we're in a pretty good spot. I just pulled a bunch of coal coke out of there. So, and then once we get this running continuously, because it's been shutting off a lot whenever this creosote builds up, once we get that running continuously and I add in the fluid trash can, actually, there's not fluid trash cans in this pack. I'll have to look around and see if there's, something. I'm sure I can figure out something to do with it. But anyways, I'm going to end out this episode here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already. Stay updated with when new videos come out. Next episode, I think we are going to switch gears at this point. And I think we're going to go ahead and push on into some new nuclear craft. Between episodes, I will probably set up at least one more reactor for our use. But next episode, we're going to push into a bit more nuclear craft and start working towards glowstone. We're actually not too far from being able to make a bedrock pickaxe. We got a little bit more to go, but that's kind of where our focus is at the moment. So just getting out of these compact machines at this point, our limited space, which is, of course, pretty much the goal of the pack, the end of the pack, I suppose. But there are some challenges and stuff. We'll check those out. But anyways, I hope to see you guys next time. Until then, as always, do take care. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.